as far as a nonprofit, the business model behind nonprofit, you still get to make money though, right? Like you still gotta live, right?
Of
So
course.
how does that work? Because people hear the word nonprofit and it's like, okay, everything, it's like it's just a charity. Everything that comes in goes out, but it's still a business.
100%. Yeah,
So
yeah.
explain that as like it's easy to explain a for-profit organization. Everybody knows that, but the nonprofit, I think it's interesting. Like it's a nonprofit, but it's still a business at the same time.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So the business part of it, for the viewers, right? It's about like the way it's broken up in its taxes, right? Like the entities is about the taxes is different, right? The way it's broken up. The structure is the same, just a different market, right? So the for profit, I have to say that you're selling a good to make a profit, right? I sell you this candy bar, I make money off that candy bar. The nonprofit is about providing a service that's not being sold. I'm not selling you my financial literacy program. I'm not selling you my mentorship, right? You're in the program for free, but it's funded by, that could be a diverse pool, right? So we have government funding, right? Primarily a lot of nonprofits are funded by government. And interestingly enough, you don't want to be funded by government, right? Because it's not guaranteed. Political shift happen, you lose that money. You have private donors, people who own companies, people who are well wealthy that love the cause you're doing. They want to donate, contribute. There's a diverse corporate, right? Fundraisers, crowdfunding. So all of that money really goes towards your budget. The same way a for-profit is set up, right? Everyone has expenses, right? You got rent, you got utilities, you got salary. That's where the money comes in. So I'm salaried as a CEO of my company, right? I started off unpaid. Right, and that's the part with the nonprofit, like some businesses too, that you have to start unpaid, build it. And the way we grew was uniquely because we started like as contractors, me and my team, right? Because once I got 2 or 3 brothers to join the movement that came home, right? Half my team got over 110 years in prison, FYI. Like we all came from the same Fed, state, and county. So they all love the noble movement. They jump on board. So what happened was people starting to see us and they're like, yo, can you run this program? Our first program was manhood, what was it called? The manhood training, right? It was an 8-week program, and it was focused on adulthood and life skills and communications. And we went into the youth shelter of Mount Vernon. You know, shout out to the youth shelter. They gave us one of our first contracts to run program. That's how we started, right? What they paying for the program, X amount of money. All right, you come run work. You do 2 workshops. I pay for those 2 workshops, and we just started like building financial systems based on contracts. Then it got a little deeper when grants come in. So you get a grant from a government, and they're like, hey, you get this X amount of money. In this particular first experience, it was a reimbursement grant. So you had to spend the money in order to get it back, right? So all of that taught me how to do budgets, spreadsheets, right? Like from the very beginning, and it kind of worked out because I turned down a lot of money, by the way, right? In the early parts of my career because I didn't want to do too much and then not be able to have the infrastructure to maintain it. You'll collapse like that. So I took each opportunity intentionally if it was aligned with my values and my mission, which is very important with the business and nonprofit. Can't chase the money, got to chase the mission. Because sometimes the dollar is tied to somebody who's not aligned with your mission or your values. And a lot of nonprofits go wrong with that. They looking at the dollars they need it for expenses, and then they, wrap themselves up, and then they can't produce. In our case, it was like we kind of like started to not put the cart before the horse. We started walking. We crawled. Now we're walking, and then we started slowly running. And what the nonprofit game was just understanding how to diversify your income. Right? Diversify your portfolio, right? How to get corporate funders, how to get foundation money, how to get, crowdfunding, fundraisers money, how to get government money. And then looking at that money, the money's coming in, tying it to the budget. And that's where salaries, insurance, your utilities, anything that you have as an expense for your nonprofit. Hope I kind of answered that.
Yeah. You said you had to, as a CEO, did you build the board of directors? How did you go about choosing that? And then you said that obviously the team has all been incarcerated. How you go about selecting who's going to be a good fit to now join you on this mission?
I know for sure. For the board of directors, it started with Lamont Badru, right? He was our first fiscal sponsor. So that check that we got for $5,000, we couldn't take it because we wasn't a 501c3 yet. So fiscal sponsors are like other more established nonprofits that'll take that money, pass it through their bank account to you. Because then that check, the person who wrote the check to that, it went to a nonprofit, right? It had to be a 501c3. So him being our fiscal sponsor and being somebody that was, helping us build the business, he was our first board member, right? And then we, at the time, we were selecting people who was helping us on the ground, but it was like, I try to get people who are either an expert in different spaces, whether in education, whether in fundraising, right? Whether it's marketing, right? Operations, to contribute and pour back down into the organization. But it never works like that. You find people that's dedicated and they're too busy. They got too many kids or with a family level, so they can't contribute. So we revamped the board in 2022 going into 2023. And one person who's still, we have actually there's 5 board members right now. Me, I'm the president. The co-founder is the board treasurer. Then we have an advisor and 2 secretaries. And the other 2, besides Lamont, we met them through just networking. And they had the skill set that we needed, which was understanding nonprofit business, understanding operations, right? Other one worked in correctional facilities. She understand program and leadership development. So we started to select people based on like how are they tied to the mission and what do they bring to the table. And right now with that small team, we're starting over because we're literally formalizing the board process on what recruitment strategy looks like, right? We had to enhance our bylaws, right? The bylaws is the governing structure of the nonprofit. We're literally working with 3 different law firms to tighten up some of the back end documentation, such as the bylaws. And that bylaws is going to dictate how we recruit new board members. So while that's being developed by a legal consultant firm, we're working with the board to make sure our strategy is in line with the bylaws. And it's really, you want to target people who's going to bring to the organization. They're volunteering their time, but you want people who's going to bring in money, bring in resources, bring in connections, and also information, right? So we're still in that development phase. When it came to the team, it happened through me knowing individuals from serving time with them, and them returning home and reaching out, asking for the opportunity, and then it just kind of working out at the right time, right? That was like an unstructured way that we recruited, of course with intention, right? Like, now the whole team is formally incarcerated, only half the team. We have women on our team that's been impacted by the system indirectly, that got, different careers that contribute to the movement. But now we have actually HR department is in now. We're developing an HR system where we're doing onboarding more formal and more corporate. But there's a caveat that we are keeping with the organization, and that's the voting process. So I like member-led organizations, right, where my team has a say-so on how certain things process, right? So one of the last 2 members we had, we did a panel discussion. Right, so, and this is somebody I was up north with, master grad, bilingual, solid brother, well intellectual. He brought so much to the table, but I knew he just came home. We got to kind of groom him, and that's how we started to do it. We like, here's take an opportunity at Woodfield. They'll build their like kind of experiences working with the population. We kind of observe them. We put them in spaces to kind of get them a job with the team. And then we like, yo, this person's dedicated. This person actually brings a lot to the table, and they bring diversity. That's the other key, diversity, right? So then from there, if we feel like we want to vote them in, we'll do a panel meeting with the person, and I'll have the whole team. It could be a little intimidating, but it's more like just really interviewing you about your interest in this movement, right? Because we don't call it a nonprofit or a company or a job. We a movement. So there's, company values and cultures that we have to talk about, and how do you like assimilate into that is what we try to figure out. And fortunately, we have a team of 13 right now. Again, I said half my team did a lot of time. 5 of them have former gang experience, from Crips, Bloods, Latin, Kingston, and Thaddeus to, Crips, Bloods. So like they all were gang leaders in their own way. So now they use that to go back into the institutions, working with the young kids who are gang banging. So the diversity kind of worked out, but the cherry picking comes in with who are we bringing in and why. And now we're just going to implement the more like formal process of it, because you need an HR. I had to remove myself from also the interviewing process just to some degree to offset any liabilities. You know what I'm saying? So it's more member-led, but now we're bringing in more corporate structure.